All right, students. So this is the activity that I wanted us to have a look at, and so this activity is also available in your conducting tour textbook. I'm not really sure which page that might be, but having said that, the idea with this activity is just to refresh your memory as to how to go about doing the tour costing. The two main things here is you have to determine what is the operating cost as well as your selling price. All right. Now, there are things that will always be provided to you, such as your reasonable number, such as your profit margin, as well as the cost and so forth. You just have to work them out. All right. And the other thing that will always be given would be the number of days or rather nights spent at the accommodation. It's not specifically given, you have to calculate this yourself. Now, let's quickly have a look at what this activity says. It says you have to cost out the tour in the blank area provided. The reason why I'm highlighting this is because in your assignment, and I warn you, I want you to make sure that you have a proper table where you can do a proper tour costing. If you just write everything and it's all over the place, I'm going to penalize you for that. It needs to, just like you guys doing an accounting, that there is a proper table. I need that as well. So it says you're operating a 3-day senior citizen bus tour from Riverside, California to San Diego. It leaves on Friday morning and then it returns on Sunday evening. Now, if you have something like this already, what you have to do is to calculate the number of nights. So if you leave Friday and you return on Sunday, then you sleep in there on Friday, Saturday, Sunday you are returning. So what that means is we only have 2 nights at the accommodation. All right. It says your reasonable number is 30. Now, this 30 is extremely important because we are going to use it to be able to determine the price per person. Remember, all those fixed costs, we can be able to use the reasonable number to determine how much it would cost. Say, for an example, transportation costs 20,000, whatever the case might be. We don't expect every member who's going to pay 20,000. We take that 20,000 and we divide it by reasonable number. Remember this number, it is just an estimation. Now let's quickly have a look at what the example say again. All right, so it says here the bus will cost 1,200 inclusive. All right, so already we know that the bus will cost um, 1,200. Please excuse my writing, it's really difficult to write with this. So the bus will cost 1,200. This is what we refer to as a fixed cost. It doesn't matter how many people going on that tour. Remember, fixed costs, they don't change. So we have our reasonable number. In this case, we have reasonable number of 30, and therefore our price per person is going to be 40. Please don't forget the currency sign, but for the purpose of this assignment, because it's difficult for me to write with this, so we're just going to ignore that. So now let's move on. We are done with that, and then it says, if you read further, your group will stay at the Del Coronado Hotel where you've been quoted a nightly rate of $130, double occupancy. Now, double occupancy meaning two people are sharing a room. So in terms of a hotel, what we have is, remember they said it's a nightly rate of 130. Don't forget that. So if you have a nightly rate of 130, remember it's double occupancy, therefore we need to divide that by the number of people sharing that room. So we divide that by 2, and once you've done that, we also have to times that by the number of nights. How many nights? We've already determined that the number of nights is 2. You remember that? Yes. So let's go back to that, and then we have to times that by 2. double occupancy, number of nights. And therefore, this will give us, if I'm not mistaken, $130. So remember, this is nights, and then we also have double occupancy there, which is the number of people. All right, let's move on and have a look at what the activity says again. It goes on to say that the bellhops, so the bellhops are, sometimes they call them porters, they're different hospitality words that are used to describe to these people, but they help with the luggage. So it says that they will charge $2 for each piece of luggage they move. Each client is limited to one piece of luggage. So we're assuming that all the clients that are going there, 30 of them, if it is 30, each and every one of them will have one piece of luggage. All right. So it says they charge $2. I hope I can be able to write it because now I'm running out of space. They charge $2 for each piece of luggage that they move. So one thing that you need to take into consideration is how many times are they going to move that piece of luggage. They are going to move it 2 times. This is for movements. So we are going to have $4. In case you're wondering where do we get this 2, the only time they move your luggage is when you check in and when you check out. So when you check in, they charge you $2. They take the luggage to your room. When you check out, they take the luggage to your room as well. So 2 plus 2 equals to 4. All right, and it goes on to say that there will be 2 breakfasts that are provided at $22 each, tax and tip included. So in terms of breakfast, they say it is $22 each. So meaning it's very important that you don't confuse it. They're talking about 2 breakfasts, meaning um, because oftentimes when we get to this section, students get confused. So you literally have breakfast 1, which costs $22, and you also have breakfast 2, which costs $22. So you basically times that by 2, and then that will give you your answer there, which is 44. So each breakfast will cost 22, and therefore the clients are going to get 2 breakfasts, meaning it is 44. All right, let's move on. Information such as the driver and escort, don't worry too much about that. They always get complimentary meals and accommodation and so forth. It goes on to say that there will also be one dinner in the hotel's crown room at $32 per person. Now, prices like this are easy to carry over because it already says per person. The idea with this amount in here is we're trying to determine how much it cost per person. So as you can see with that one, it says there will be dinner for, is it 32? Yes, 32. So we carry that as it is, then it will be 32. I hope you students can be able to see this, but I'll post so that is 32. We don't multiply that whatsoever because it clearly says per person, so we don't really have to worry about that. And then it also says that you must also cost out in admission to the Sea World, which is $22. Again, it says per client. So we're going to have 22. I'm sorry, it's difficult to write with this. So we also have 22, and it also says that the San Diego Zoo $18 per client again. So we're going to carry that 18 as it is, and then there we have it. We carry it over as it is because it says per client, so we don't have to worry about that. Because remember, the idea with this is to find out with this column how much it cost per person. And then we also have a museum, which will cost $8 per client. Again, we have 8, and then we carry that 8 as it is. This is relatively simple with regards to those prices where you don't have to calculate them. And then we can go back and have a look at, is there anything else? It goes on to say that a step-on guide will give a half a day San Diego tour. The guide charges your company $90 for the service. So step-on guide will charge us 90. So this again is what we refer to as a fixed cost. It doesn't really matter. Sorry, let me do this. I'm struggling with this pen. So it doesn't really matter as to how many people are going on that tour. Um, the step-on guide is basically his services, so we have to times this by our reasonable number, 30, 90, I beg your pardon, divide by 30, and that will give us, sorry, I just want to quickly do this. I'm really struggling with this pen. All right, so that will give us 3, and then we also have what we call other costs, suppliers, advertising, and overhead. We also call them other cost or miscellaneous cost. That is $20 per person. It doesn't really matter what word you use. You can also refer to this as other costs. And then it said per person, so we don't have to worry about that again because it basically says $20 per person. And then we also have the escort's full salary. Don't worry about the word escort. It's basically the tour director or tour manager. We'll get to $240. So the escort salary is 240. Again, what is this? It is a fixed cost. This is why we have to divide this by 30, and that will give us an amount of 8. There we go. So as you can see there, you've pretty much done everything there. So all you have to do right now is just to add up your total. And so what you see here, it is basically what we refer to. I think the total amount is supposed to be 329. I hope I got the number right. But yeah, so that is the total. This, what you see here, is what we refer to as operating costs. So per person, it will cost that much if we need somebody to go on this San Diego tour. But having said that, remember, this amount you cannot say to people, hey, this is how much it cost, because there is no profit. You still have to factor in profit for yourself as the company. And this is why we have what we refer to as the selling price. So in terms of the selling price, please always refer to the notes to see what the formula looks like. But the formula, remember, for the selling price, we take the cost per person, which is 329. All right. And then we therefore divide this, open bracket, which is 1.00. Remember, this is a representation of that 100%. Now, in terms of for you to see what the margin is, you can see there they say for an ideal number of 30 passengers, profit is to be set at 20%. I hope you can be able to see that. It is to be set at 20%. We express this as a decimal, and therefore we will have 0.20, which is a representation of that 20%. Okay, we can carry on. Please remember to show all your steps so that I can be able to give you all your marks. And open bracket, and so basically what you have there is 100 minus 20%, which is going to be 80%. Again, we express this in terms of decimals, and then we carry over. So our selling price is going to be 4. Let me see if my calculator is right. divide by point. So yeah, that is correct. 411 point 25. Now, what you see here, it is basically your selling price. You can see that it is totally different from what the tour cost per person. So what this means is we've factored to 20%. We've added 20% into this so that we can make our own profit. All right, so that's basically it. I know that the video becomes too long if I try to explain things. Sometimes what you can do is, with regards to the attractions, you can literally just add them, the total, and say attractions and then say it costs this much instead of writing them individually. So I think the most important things to remember is the number of nights, the movement, breakfasts, fixed costs such as your bus, your step-on guide, as well as the salary of the tour manager. Yeah, so that's basically it. Yeah, just try to do this activity on your own. And I think the slides do have um, another activity that you can do on your own as well. All right, sorry for the long video, but unfortunately, this is the only way we can be able to do this. All right, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. So it's a lot of marks basically um, for this, and this is why you will see that um, yeah, it's a lot of marks. I think it's 20, 25 in your paper if I'm not mistaken, but it depends how I go about marking it. So just make sure that you show all your calculations. So maximum marks definitely can be 25. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.